Hello, hello. My name is Blind, and I would just like to make a quick video that I've been thinking about for a while now. A lot of the popular content on the finals surrounds the same ideas, like the low player count, which we talked about last video, but also the state of balancing. And my primary thesis for this video is that balancing the game is impossible. I would like to imagine a world where the finals is perfectly balanced, but for the most part, I just can't see it. I look at old multiplayer games that have lasted decades like Counter-Strike and Team Fortress 2 and ask myself how they still have an active player base. Of course, there are many reasons for this, but I boiled it down to one thing. It's because of their so-called simplicity of ingredients. Because balancing a game is like baking a cake. What's problematic with a game like the finals, or any frequently updated competitive game, is when something new is thrown into the mix. A new character, a new weapon, a new gadget, and so on. It's like throwing a new ingredient into an already good mixture. You're making a cake, and instead of a white sugar, you add a little brown sugar, then a little more stevia, and then another sweetener and another. Do you get what I mean? It's done to make the cake or the game sweeter, but all these sugars taste different and are used for different reasons. So now you have to add more milk or more water or more cream or more flour so the cake isn't overly sweet. Everything has to balance nicely, and that's what gets increasingly more difficult the more ingredients you add. Games like Counter-Strike don't balance the game by changing the damage values or the fire rates. Most of the time, their changes come from the price of weapons and utility. Therefore, nothing of the gameplay changes, only the strategy. No one advocates that the AK can't be a one-shot headshot weapon or that the scout rifle needs to do more damage. It constantly changes the rhythm of the game, which is something the finals has grown accustomed to. Players hoping something will be nerfed and another thing will be buffed. These two games are completely different, but both have to be balanced accordingly. One thing that I was going to talk about was the frustration of the finals, dealing with lots of weapons and abilities that feel too strong compared to others, and certain tactics that feel hopeless to counter. I think what I'll do is save that idea for later because there's a lot to talk about there, and I think it deserves its own video. I do think that Embark is very vigilant when it comes to the balancing changes. However, recently it seems like their approach is to nerf a lot of strong items compared to buffing weaker ones. If a player likes using something in-game, but then it gets nerfed beyond enjoyment, that player loses a reason to play. This is the duality between nerfing and buffing. Maybe instead of nerfing everything, Embark should just have everything else buffed instead. Here's another analogy for you. If a parent has two kids and one of them complains that their siblings has more toys, removing a toy from the sibling would make them upset, and the other no more happy. But if you gave more toys to the child complaining to make it even, then both parties would be satisfied compared to both being equally miserable. And I think we've become more equally miserable than satisfied with our pool of weapons lately. Winch combo's gone, shotgun melee combo's gone, fast fire rate on the V9S gone. What they end up nerfing isn't weapons, but fun. And if you've been playing the finals for a while now, I think you can agree that overall it feels less fun from balancing changes. More fair? Sure, but less fun, and more equal misery. Don't slow down the car in first place, just make the other cars faster. Make it feel like everyone's weapon of choice is their own tool of destruction, and it doesn't matter what other players are using. Of course, this is just my opinion. I'm not an expert on balancing shooters. I just know how I feel as a consumer when I get killed by an Invislite standing in the corner. It's not fun. In my opinion, if seeing through walls was too overpowered, not being able to be seen at all is as well, but that's just me. Again, this is Blind, and I appreciate you checking out and watching the video. Keep in touch.